Hey, y'all, welcome to the Unleashed Performance Therapy Podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Robert McNair, and our guest on the show today is one of my old college roommates, Christian Guirguis, also known as GXX, one of the most ambitious people I have ever met. He's got a lot to talk to us about, and I look forward to hearing from him. So, G, you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thank y'all for having me. Really cool to be reached out by you. This is an awesome opportunity, and I think this podcast is really cool. So I appreciate y'all having me on. Yeah, I'm Christian, professionally known as GXX. I'm an artist. It's my full-time job, and yeah, on the side, I love to run. I love to run a lot, so much that I started my own athletic club. And the idea is to get as many people running as possible, introduce it to the youth in a productive way, and that's what the club's all about. So
Cool.
that's
And you have a certification, right? It's a USATF level 1 coach,
yeah. Yeah, so
right?
USA Track and Field is our governing body for track and field here in the United States, as well as cross country and road racing. And they offer, a lot of courses, a lot of different certifications, and that's something that I've chosen. That's the path I've chosen to go down. So yeah, I'm just level one. Hope to be level two soon, and then level three, so forth. So yeah,
What do those different levels offer?
this specificity,
Okay.
level one was pretty basic. It's USA Track and Field, so I'm primarily a coach for distance running. Huge advocate for distance running, not only in the youth but also as we age. Work with a lot of
Hmm.
athletes, and that's mainly what I coach. But USA Track and Field level one, I went through sprints, throwing, pole vault, javelin, everything, real broad. When I go to level two, I'll probably be picking one thing to specify on, and for me that'll be distance running for sure.
Okay. And for those
Yeah.
of you who don't know, G used to be a personal trainer back in college, and so I've done a couple of workouts with him, and it's pretty intense. So why running?
Yeah, so running's where I started my fitness journey. Is what I did in high school for athletics. It's I played all the sports growing up. My
Hmm.
parents put me in a whole bunch of different sports. I think it's integral. I think you should try everything, dabble in everything. And then in high school, I wanted to find the thing I was good at, and you want to find community. And running was something I didn't necessarily pick. I wanted to play
Hmm.
football. I'm not big, so
Yeah.
running was something I actually had a chance to be competitive in, and for me that was important. Winning, being competitive is something that yeah, that's what drew me in. I was like, okay, I have a chance to be good at this. Maybe do this in college, which I did not end up doing. I don't think I was fast enough. I tried to walk
Yeah.
on to a school. Um, I became anemic in the process of upping my knowledge, and then that's kind of where the running journey stalled out. Like you said, I got back into fitness through lifting weights, working out. I was personal training.
Hmm.
Love that. Love watching the physique change. Love that whole process of that different kind of being in the gym and the camaraderie that comes with that. But after graduating and all that, I had like this itch for competition again, and
Hmm.
it just started with even when I was working out, I'd still go for 2 to 3 mile runs, but then leaving college, the run started getting a little longer, 4 to 5 miles, and then I noticed the pace was dropping a little bit more, and I was like, okay, let me enter into a 5K, and I
Yeah.
did really well in the 5K. And I was like, okay, well, let's make a season out of this. Let's do two races and then a big one at the end, and then they became blocks of training, and then they just started stacking onto each other. And then another friend that I had that ran in high school with me who didn't run in college, he was like, man, I've been doing so, I kind of want to take it to the next, and then that's how it all just kind of snowball effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I like how you said that as an athlete, we itch for that competition. We want
Yeah,
to be the
yeah.
best. And I think as former athletes, everybody can relate with that
Yeah,
feeling that you just,
yeah.
once you're done with school, you don't really have that organized sport anymore. So you have to go and find it yourself.
Well,
And I
that's what it
love
was. That's
that.
exactly
Yeah.
what it was. I wanted a team. I was like, man, I miss being part of a team. Like anything, dude. Like going to the gym, working out is cool, but it's so self-centered and so like just looking at yourself in the mirror, and like it became,
Mhm.
yeah, it became real redundant. And I was like, I want to be a part of something again. And then when I started running, that's when I started finding out about running clubs. But because of what I do as an artist, I was moving around a lot. I would go to like different clubs. I went to, I lived in New York for a while, Brooklyn Track Club,
Mhm.
shout out to them. They host this big, New York's a big place for a lot of people. They host these track workouts where everyone comes on Tuesday night and you just spin out there, dude. And I was like, man, this is dope. But then I started moving around. I was like, I'll just create my own where people that maybe can't commit to being at a certain place at a certain time we'll train remotely. We'll be on the same training block. We'll have goals set. And yeah, we'll just see how fast we can get.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of
Yeah.
bouncing off of that, for the people who don't know, you are you're an artist. So, and your
Yeah.
professional name is GXX. You want to talk a little bit about how going into to music and then also training as a coach in track and field, how you're able to balance the two, because they're both fairly demanding things to do throughout your
Yeah.
day. So, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, being an artist is like a whole different type of hustle. I tell people all the time it's night and day, what I mean? Like, to be completely honest, especially the type of music I make. I'm a hip hop artist, you know what I mean? And a lot of the music that I made came from a time and a place that was a lot darker. And, I still make the same kind of music and, I mean, that ball is still rolling. But there's a fine line, that I draw in the sand. To be completely honest, I
Hmm.
wish I could say that it was more, uh, mended together, but it's just not. My people that run with me, they know who I am, but not everyone that knows who I am as GXX knows that I run. I don't try to
Yeah.
force that down their throat because they really only want one thing from me. That's all it's ever been. It's been about music. And because I've
Hmm.
been on hiatus for a little bit, I've been creating this album, this project that I put a lot of time and effort and money into. And before I roll that out, it's they don't want to hear about my marathon build or, the next local 5K I'm doing, you know what I mean? Like they want
Hmm.
to hear some spicy shit from, you know what I mean? So even when I have two pages, right? I have my Gx4 Athletic Club Instagram and I have my GXX Instagram. And when you have two Instagram accounts, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can switch just by tapping and you go in
Yeah,
your feed, you go through your feed, and the feed difference is crazy, dude. Like at
I'm
this point
sure.
in my life, yeah. So the GXX is more about content creation. It's about, I mean, being on top of that every day, promoting whatever the next new single is, finding a way to be creative to do that while also creating the music itself. And then, you got all the legal stuff that goes in the back of that, signing
Yeah.
paperwork, signing beats, working with my manager, making sure everything, all the loose ends are getting tied in. And then running is like just training and recovering and then writing workouts for my athletes. I try to do a little content creation there, right? Like I do want to give tips and stuff like that, but right now the main focus has to be on the music as far as content
Yeah.
creation goes, and then training and all that. So yeah, you run in the morning, I train in the morning, try to refuel, and then it's content creation throughout the day, and then somewhere I'm tapping in back in with the running at night where I'm either programming or yeah, just sharpening
Well,
my
I
skills.
know you've been really busy, man, and it's been, it's been a long time since we've talked, but it's been so cool to watch you from a distance, watching you grow and build as an artist. It's been so awesome to see you grow,
Appreciate that.
and
Appreciate that.
I'm extremely proud of you, man. We've really come a long way. You've come a long way since those days that we lived together, and it, it's awesome.
Yeah, bro.
Hey,
I
Um,
same to you, bro. Like when I saw this, I was telling Jamie, like, yeah, Robert, this is my first time meeting you, but I was telling Jamie that these podcasts, this is what I listen to on my runs. I run a lot alone, and I don't
yeah,
listen to music. I listen to podcasts just like this, where they're interviewing someone, and it's someone that I want to know insight about. And I just listen to them talk, like we're having a conversation. It's just I'm not talking about just information. So what y'all doing is super dope.
yeah. We've sat in class and he's actually showed me a song or two.
That's what's up.
Because I forgot. He was singing one and he's like, yeah, this is my roommate from Texas State, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then he told me we're probably gonna try to get you on the show, and I was like, yeah, we got to get this man.
um, well, I want to kind of take a dive into the running, man, the training for your marathons. We had Isaac on the show. Isaac was another one of our roommates. back then, and he told us that you were giving him some training tips, and they were helping and they were working, and I'm really interested in learning on what you're doing in your training for your marathons. And I noticed that I think you won a marathon recently, correct?
I got second. I got second. So
Ah.
I got second. But I was still very, very happy with it. Yeah, I've had, like I told you, 5K turned into a season, and that's how I structure my training. I structure it into seasons. And
Mm-hmm.
last season, as soon as the season started, I said, I want to run a marathon. I've gotten better at the longer distances, so I signed up for a marathon. At the end of the block, it was 6 months away at the time. I was going to do a 5 month build. I had already kind of, like I said, listened to a lot of podcasts. I've listened to a lot of marathoners, a lot of elite marathoners kind of talk about their builds. I already had an idea of, training philosophy as far as the marathon went. A little bit different than like maybe like your 5K or your 10K training. But the idea, man, was trials and miles, man. I ran a lot of miles just because I'm getting older now. I'm not coming from the
Mm-hmm.
speed side, I'm coming from the strength side. I'm 31 now. And I really wanted to see how much mileage my body can handle. And as we get older, I do think that's something that everybody should try to like, if you're going into running, you should emphasize that maybe just a little bit more than the speed. Yeah, you want the dashes of the speed, it's important. But
Mm-hmm.
as human beings, we are quite literally born to run. I touch on that a little bit later, but as for this marathon build, it was about incorporating high mileage, but a lot of easy running. 80% of my running was easy listening to a podcast, conversational pace, just basically jogging. If I
Okay.
ran my marathon in 2 hours and 48 minutes. That's 6:27 a mile. My easy pace would be around 8 minutes to 8:30 a mile. And that's what I'm going out on recovery run days. That's what I'm warming up at. That's what I'm cooling down at. And then I would have, you know, 3 workouts within that week. One would be a long tempo, one would be a threshold session, one would be an interval session, and then we'd have a long run at the end of the week, which arguably became the most important part of my week was my long run because it's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So so the long tempo is basically miles run at marathon. A tempo is like your aerobic threshold. It's something you should be able to hold for a long time, maybe 2 to 3 hours, but if you're racing that 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I'm only going to do it for maybe I got up to about a 20K tempo, which is about 12 and a half miles at tempo pace. Now that also comes with a 3 mile warm up and a 2 mile cool down. So it's a heavy day. It's like 16 miles of work that day.
Man.
Only 12.5 miles of work. That's what you start the week off with. And I have a recovery day where I run maybe just 20K, but easy. So I'm running a lot of
Mm-hmm.
miles, but like I said, conversational pace, real easy. Then
Yeah.
you have your threshold. Now this threshold is something I think is important for everyone to kind of understand when getting into running, and it's kind of this middle ground between your tempo and your interval. Your intervals, you're going to be working on your speed, and you want full recovery on those days because you want to be going fast at a certain pace, somewhere like 5K pace, 10K pace, maybe even mile 800-meter pace. So real fast,
Man.
but you're recovering all the way. What your threshold is going to be these longer intervals, so anywhere from half a mile to 1,000 meters, like 1K, to a mile, maybe even a mile and a half, with short rest. But you're not necessarily like blazing these intervals. They're done at the pace that you could hold for 1 hour. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of seems like hard for people to understand. It is hard to dial it down. But once you kind of get that clicker going of what you think you could run for an hour, that hour long pace, when you do that threshold, I feel like that's the most beneficial one of all of the training structure. You got your tempo, it's slower than threshold. You got your threshold, then you have your intervals. And then your intervals are going to be done, I would try to do those around 5 to 10K pace. I'm still doing a lot of volume, right? So an interval day might look like a 3 mile warm up, a 2 to 4 mile tempo before you start the intervals, and you get on the track and you do, let's say, 16 by 400. You start those first 400 meters and you're doing them with a minute to a minute and a half rest. You're resting
Okay.
for as long as the interval is. Whereas on my threshold days, I may be doing a mile interval or a K interval with the same amount of rest. Only a minute, but I'm not blazing. It should be relaxed. It
Mm-hmm.
should feel good. and that's what's increasing your lactate threshold. That's the
Okay.
pace you can run for an hour is also the same pace you can run while still clearing lactate out of your legs. So I'm sure you guys have run like a 400 before, or maybe you went out like a
Mm-hmm.
mile and you feel that heaviness that gets in your legs. That's called lactate. Lactate. We have a pace that we can run, which is for an hour where you're still clearing your lactate, and that's where the whole term threshold comes from. Your lactate
Okay.
threshold. So yeah, got up to a lot of threshold miles, and then yeah, we were on the track every Saturday because of my work schedule. I could never be
Uh-huh.
on the track during the day based on school. Like schools have, they have the tracks closed and they're using them or whatever. So the only safe day I knew I was getting on the track was Saturday, and then Sunday I would bomb along. We got up to we got up to 24 miles of, which the marathon's 26. I didn't run
Yeah.
26 in all the build. I got up to 24, gently built up to that. And then as we got close to the marathon, that long run became a workout where I would throw some threshold or tempo efforts into the long run, where it may be 20 miles with a 2 mile pickup here or a 4 mile pickup here. And yeah, that's what a week looked like.
That's cool, man. And it's really like you really have to know what your limits are and know when to push and when not to push.
Yeah,
Um, I know
definitely.
that I've tried. I thought at one point that I wanted to try to run a half marathon, and so I was building up my miles, and I got to 6, and I was like, "Nah, this is not for me." And I could
Yeah.
not get past. Yeah, I was, dude, man. I ran 5 one time, and I had to walk home because I was hurting so bad. It was not.
Now, what was hurting? Was it structural or was it aerobic?
Well, so yeah, I've got
Yeah, I
the
do.
joint
Yeah,
issues. I
yeah,
my ankle and my hip start to give me issues, man, and it's
yeah,
done. But it's weird because sometimes it'll hurt after 3 miles, and then sometimes 3 miles seems like nothing, and then I get into that fourth mile, and at the fourth mile, that's where I'm just like, no, I can't do anymore. I need to turn back and go home
yeah,
before I have to walk.
yeah.
No,
Maybe
but
what you need to do, maybe what you need to do is spend some more time at that comfortable mileage.
yeah, that's what I'm
See if
thinking.
see if you can get it there to where it's for sure. I'm not feeling any pain here anymore. I can for sure run 2 miles, 2 to 3 miles, no pain. Then gently go to 3.5 to 4 miles, or make it
I
about time. Normally, when I start training athletes, we start with time, not mileage, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And then, you know what I mean? And some of it be some walking, jogging, depending on what it be. But it sounds like your problem is structural, right? Like it's not your aerobic system that's giving out on you. You're not so tired that you're toppled over,
yeah.
like breathing heavy. You're hurting. You
Hmm.
have actual pain. So yeah, just
Yeah.
building that structure.
And I tell people a lot that I have a Ricky Bobby problem because I want to go fast. That's my
Yeah, you can't. That's
uh,
like I
uh,
say, those easy miles, bro. That like you'll see a lot of running influencers talk about the zone two and easy. And what I tell people is you got to be both, right? You gotta run a little fast and a little, and mainly you have to run slow. You gotta get comfortable running
mm.
slow. Find some content that you can consume while you're running. If you're not running with a buddy,
Well,
if
it's
y'all can
really
run
hard for me
together.
too, because like sometimes my wife will go running with me, and she hates it because I'll say no, we're just gonna chill. Like this isn't be a slow jog. We're just gonna chill, and then I end up like nah, looking at my watch, and then I don't like this pace. Like I got to pick it up, and then I end
Yeah.
up sprinting at the end, and
Yeah, no, man. It
it's
looks
not
like you're
good.
turning. It looks like you're turning every day into a workout, and that's just, yeah, it's not possible.
No,
It's always go hard.
that Ricky Bobby mentality reminds me of in high school. So I played soccer. I've been playing soccer since I was younger. So going through high
Okay.
school, of course, I played football, and then I actually ran track. So as an underclassman, like ninth grade and all that, they throw you in track, of course. Okay, you need to stay in shape off season. So you just go run. Or I was playing soccer, so soccer was during track season, so I wasn't really running track. But come senior year, so I wasn't playing soccer, and I had to go to track. So okay, well, you need to go on varsity. And okay, so what do you want to run? I was like, I play soccer, so put me in the mile. Let's do it. So I'm
Okay.
good. The first 3 laps were good. Then that
Yeah.
monkey gets on my back, and I'm just getting
Yeah.
passed up. And
Yeah.
our track coach, one of the greatest track coaches in Texas, may he rest in peace. He's like, all right, that's not your race. Let's try the 800. I was like, all right, let's try the 800. First lap out there, that last lap. Now I got a refrigerator on my back. Everybody's passing me
Yeah.
up, passing me up. So I'll never forget. He's
Yeah.
like, all right. He's like, I got it. It's the 400. And here at Straight Jesuit here in Houston, we had a track meet there. And I went out there, first time ever running the 400 in a meet, split a 50.2. And he's like, this is your
Damn.
race. This is your race. And
Yeah.
I was like, and I hate that. So I'm a military brat as well. So we were moving around a lot. So I never really got established like in running track when they started running track like in middle school, all my friends and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
kind of regret that. I wish I would have ran with them because it would have prepared me to actually do even more, go to the next level. Because we went to Texas Relays and for sprint medley split a high 48 or low 49 in the 400. And I
Yeah.
possibly could have walked on at UTSA to run track because I actually talked to the
Yeah.
track coach, but the season was starting and that was my first time away from home school. So I was out there trying to party and stuff. So didn't do that. So I
Yeah.
regret that. But yeah, it makes so much sense when you start breaking it down kind of to a science of the running. It's not just getting out there going as fast as you can. There's
Yeah.
actually things you need to consider to be
Yeah.
successful, whether you're just pushing yourself or you're actually in a competition. And
Yeah.
man, it's making me miss it. It's making me miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it
I'm
sounds like
I'm too impatient.
you got thrown in the hardest events, bro.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the mile, like, that is a distance event. Sometimes you can sit and kick, but the 800, there's no ducking. There's no ducking and
Oh no.
hiding. It's two
Nah.
laps as hard as you can run. That's arguably the hardest event in track. And then yeah,
Yes.
you found that 400, but the 400 is tough too. But I'm sure you know. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. I talk about
Oh
lactic
yeah.
because the 400 is you're running lactic, completely
Right.
lactic. But no,
Exactly.
you're good. So that means you're coming from the speed aspect. You definitely have some natural because you're a soccer player, so you obviously had an aerobic base. That's why
Right.
they popping so you in the mile. But to split a 48 high and to run a 50 point in an open 400, bro, I think that definitely shows that you do come from a speed background and yeah, that's something that you can still nurture. You know what I mean? Like I think everyone should sprint 2 to 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Just get like get of course warming up drills and all that. But I think that's still something to harness and an important part of fitness is running at full speed because by the time we're 35, bro, half of the population will never sprint again. So
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
One of the biggest questions that I get, man, and as a personal trainer, as a coach, as a fitness professional, a healthcare professional, people always want to know what are the best shoes to wear, and I think that, and
ooh,
it's really depending on who you talk to, man, because
yeah.
some people like Isaac said, my Nike Vaporflies. That's the one that's for me. My
So
Nike
I see
Vaporflies.
Isaac in there. Isaac has a paper flies, camouflage. That's crazy. You're monster. Here's the thing, though, bro. Those are two. His flies, those are $250 shoes. The vapor flies are 250 when they're new. Sometimes you get them on sale for a little under. Those are expensive shoes. Those are
Hmm.
race day shoes. To be completely honest, the shoes he's wearing. Or if you're working out at an elite level, you wear them for some of your workouts too. But the vapor flies and alpha flies, yeah, probably the best on the market. But those, like I said,
Okay.
they don't have the durability. You can only put 100 to 250 miles on those. You want running shoes that you can put 500 to 600 miles on. Just being realistic, you know what I mean. Those shoes don't have the life that some of the and I wear Nike all the time. I do feel like they have the best price point for elite athletic wear. They have a lot of competitors now too, but remember those flies and those vapor flies, they're called super shoes. And Robert, are you as old as me and Jamie? We
Yeah,
about the
I'm
same
older
age?
than y'all. I'm a
Okay.
grown man.
So so when we so when we all started running, there weren't these things called super shoes. Now they have
Nah.
these things called super shoes. And what they are, and they started a little bit after we graduated. They started with the Nike Next Percent. And it's a shoe and people were showing we had these minimal shoes for racing, right? Even the distance runners with the road flights, they were real minimal, and then you had your trunk spikes real minimal. Now one marathon in 2000, or I don't know if it was 12 or 14 or whatever, they show up to the starting line and they have these thicker shoes that look like a trainer, like your everyday trainer. Everyone was like, "What are they wearing?" It turns out they had a carbon plate in their shoe, and that was the birth of the super shoe. Now everyone's doing it. Asics, Adidas, they all have them. If you go on their website, it's the most expensive running shoe, the one that's $250. That's going to be the super shoe. And what these super shoes do is they have energy return. So Adidas uses these three prongs. They're like these carbon prongs. Nike has the carbon plate. Asics has a carbon plate shoe. and they're this real expensive shoe, and it feels like you're bouncing off the ground. Like it, I use them too. I
Mm.
race my marathon in the Alpha Flies, the Nike Alpha Flies. I did a lot of training in the Vapor Flies. And without going too much in it, because I can name shoes off all day, without going too much into it, they have these carbon plates. They're a little bit thicker stack height, so they don't look like racers used to look. They look a little bit bigger, and but they're lightweight. And the whole idea is that they're trying to make them lighter and lighter while still having the carbon in them. And man, these things, they make you fly. Records have been dropping. People that were before the super shoe era are like arguing that, yo, these times should have asterisks on them, like they're not fair. They've made their way into track now. The 800, even 800-meter spikes, the max flies, a lot of them have the carbon plate in them. It's just something that kind of bounces you off the ground. It's what they call it is energy return. You're going off the ground and your foot's not bending in any type of way, or it's still pronating, but like that carbon plate is keeping you solid, and you're just right off like a rocker almost. And so, yeah, Isaac's right? I'm sure he feels great in the vapor flies and alpha flies every day, but yeah, those aren't meant to be running every day. I would definitely invest in like a shoe that you do have like you put your base mileage in, you know what I mean? And then you have your race day shoe. And then I also have a pseudo trainer. So now they've gotten to the point where Nike has this thing called a Zoom Fly. A lot of companies have this too, where it's like a trainer. It's more durable, but it has either a carbon or a nylon plate, which is a little bit cheaper in it as well. So I would say that's ideal if you're training for a marathon or training and like you want to see how fast you get in an elite setting is to have your everyday trainer which has no carbon in it and you should be able to get it at a good price. You shop around, you find what works best for you. The Nike Invincible 3 is a great shoe. A6 Nova Blast. You'll see, you normally look it up and these companies will have a description of what
Hmm.
shoe does what. Then you have your pseudo trainer. And my pseudo trainer is a trainer with a carbon plate. And so I would do that for my tempos and some of my threshold and just some of the, picking up pace type things. Because remember, I told you my tempo days would be 12 miles or 16 miles total or whatever. So that adds up quick. If I was doing that my vapor flies every day, they wouldn't make it to the end of the season. And then you have your race specific shoes, which maybe I'll do some of the track intervals in, maybe some of the threshold in, but you really want to save those for race day. So yeah, so normally I have a three to four shoe rotation, being a general trainer, a pseudo
Yeah.
trainer with the carbon plate. Then I normally have two race day options just because like I said, I want to see how fast I can get. So I have the Vaporfly, which I do my track and some of my threshold in, and then I save Vaporfly, which is their primary racer, and like it's the one that has the Air Max pod with the carbon plate, and I only race in that. That's it.
That's cool.
I
I
know
didn't
you
even know
have
that was a thing.
for
Yeah.
sure have your preference like the Nike, and then you mentioned the Asics. Is there
Yes.
any brand you not necessarily not diss or anything, but like kind of keep people away from, whether it's like the Hokas or the On Clouds, stuff like that?
Not really, dude.
I,
Like they're
I
all nailing it, to be
like
honest.
like you said, you kind of just find your preference. I like, especially when it comes to stuff like this, like shoes. You definitely get online, and people are going to be honest. There's going to be reviews on
Oh
there,
yeah, yeah.
and you just pick and pull.
But you gotta take it with a grain of salt too, because we're all different. We're all built different.
Right,
Like I see, like I'll never read the reviews on an actual shoe, like when you're shopping for it. Now I'll go look up that shoe on YouTube and see what if someone has a good following and some legitimacy on their page as far as subscribers. That means a lot of runners are tuning in and they they've validated what this person has to say about a shoe. I take that also with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Because like some people say a shoe feels super flat, and I'm like, dude, this shoe's bouncy as hell. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, and it's give or take. So what I've also done too, like running shoes can get expensive, and so like I'm even a new pseudo trainer, and now if you go to and this is a pro tip too, if you go to a place like Marshalls or TJ Maxx, and you go to their shoes that are on clearance or whatever, sometimes now you can find these carbon plated shoes for like as low as $35, $65. And boom, now you got your tempo shoe for a whole build or whatever may have you. or like a Dick's clearance store, Nike clearance too. Nike clearances, man, those are so clutch. I've found $250 shoes for $160.
Oh yeah, Nike. If they come out with a new color, they're gonna just clearance out the old ones, and they're
Exactly,
sitting
and they
right
don't
there.
it's crazy too because
They're
people will
sitting
like not
right
even
there.
understand this is a super shoe. I don't care what color it is. It's a super shoe.
Yes,
You know what I mean? That color means nothing to me because at the end of the day,
exactly.
I could get a pair of Vaporflies, and if it's cheap and I don't have to race in it, I got a racer, I can now use this for like ample workouts. And then one more thing I'll add about the carbon plate is, so the reason you don't want to use it all the time, right? You want to build a structural base in a shoe that doesn't have a carbon plate. But a lot of times you want to do some of your big workout sessions, like the threshold sessions, in a carbon plated shoe because they save your legs. You wear a carbon plated shoe for a long workout, you won't be as sore as if you did it without a carbon plated shoe.
Really?
Yeah, it saves your legs a lot,
Yeah.
man. The recovery turnover is like that, dude. I could do 8 miles of threshold and then be ready to go for a track session in 2 days where it might take me a lot more time to recover from that if I was doing it in like the
Hmm.
old flats from back in 2000 and whatever.
Man, I
Yeah,
had no idea
yeah,
that was even a thing, a super shoe. I've never even heard of it. And I'm
yeah,
wondering
yeah.
if people that like even like high school athletes, I wonder if people
Oh, they're all
are,
using them. Yeah,
yeah,
everyone's using, dude, everyone is using super shoes. Yeah, they're all using them. Super spikes now too. The spikes are super.
really?
Yeah, they all have carbon
Man.
in them, and
Huh.
everyone's using them. Yeah, and that's why I don't know if you keep up with like records and not only has the marathon been dropping just exponentially, but the 800, the mile, the 5K, the 10K, these records are just the only ones that aren't dropping because the only thing that truly doesn't need carbon is the sprints, right? Usain Bolt still holds the world records from when we were in high school. Those haven't been broken, but everything fucking 800 meters and up has been dropped in these past 5 years because the shoes just keep getting better and better and better. And people are, arguably saying like, yo, where do we draw the line? Like, and they have
Yeah.
big rules, right? Like your shoe can only have so much stink height because they're like, we'll cap it off at this many millimeters. It can only have this much
Uh-huh.
because we don't know what you're putting in there. You know what I mean?
Huh.
So yeah,
That
That's
that
they,
makes
they
a
interesting
keep
lot of
too.
it.
yeah, that
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense now. Seeing those thick ass soles, so it's got the
yeah.
carbon plate.
It's
Okay,
got the carbon
okay.
plate. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah,
Changing gears a little bit, I also wanted to ask you about what kind of recovery tools you use, because I know we've talked about changing your shoes, you're not as sore, but I'm sure there's still those days where you're dead and your legs are killing you. Like, what do you use
yeah,
in order to minimize that soreness?
man. Yeah, to be totally honest, I think people um nowadays like to overthink recovery a lot. It's like if I'm not doing something, I wanted to be doing something to like, be helping me in this type of way. And I think the best thing that you can do for yourself, recovery wise, is well, number one is sleep. I'm sure you guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to if you're training on like when I got up to 100 miles a week on 4 different occasions in the marathon block, and sleep was the only way I was able to achieve that. There were some weeks where I didn't get as much sleep, and there's no way that was going to be possible. So sleep, number one. Number two is fueling. So similar to drinking protein, when I was lifting weights, you need to take in protein after you run. The only difference is it needs to come with a 3:1 ratio of carbs. So if I'm taking in 20 grams of protein after a run, I need to be taking in 60 grams of carbs with it. That's what's replenishing my body and also carrying the protein where it needs to go. And
Mm-hmm.
then the second thing, another thing too that people kind of overlook, especially within marathon training, this is all distance training, but specifically marathon training, is fueling before and during the run. I'm taking in carbohydrates and electrolytes during the run. Now I know electrolytes have been a thing for a while. People drink Gatorade and all that, but now I'm taking these mixes that have carbs in them, 100 calories a scoop. And on my 20-mile run, I'm taking in 600 calories just during the run.
Is this a drink?
Um, this is a drink, yeah, drink mix and or
Okay.
gel. Drink mix or
Uh,
gel.
I was gonna ask about the gel or like goo or whatever it's called.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So those are vital too. These are important because you're burning a lot, and the reason I'm putting this into the recovery topic is because this is how you bounce back the next day. This is the only way that makes these things achievable. You know what I mean? Running 100 miles a week. If I'm running 100 miles a week, I need to be fueling. I'm fueling on easy days. If I'm running 20K, which is 12 and a half miles, I'm taking a gel halfway through that. And then eating properly after, and then
So
so
you're
yeah,
saying
fueling.
you're taking that in while you're running.
while I'm running. Yeah, I'm bringing that
Okay,
on. I'm bringing
okay.
that on every run. Like on hard track days, my warm up is normally 2.5 to 3 miles. So after the warm, I eat oatmeal for breakfast with a banana, water, coffee, and then after the 3 mile warm up, I'm taking in some more carbs and electrolytes. Maybe 200, maybe 100 to 200 calories, 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates. That's kind of what we go by. So the scoops will have calories in them, but I go by grams of carbohydrates. So it'll have 100 calories per scoop, but 25 grams of carbohydrates. If I'm working out for more than an hour or two, I'm trying to get in 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates an hour. So
Okay.
each of those goo gels, same thing. It has 25 grams of carbohydrates, and those carbs are what are really replenishing the body during the run. I know people talk about carbo loading the night before or 2 nights before, and you do need to do that, but it's also highly effective to do it during the run. You're not taking any protein though during or before a run. That's the way to shit yourself. But
Yeah.
after the run, yes, you do replenish your protein just like lifting weights. It's just you need a lot more carbs to keep the engine going. It's just like putting gas in the car. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And how do those gels taste though? That's
Man, to be honest, I don't even taste it. It's like,
Just down
they
it.
have a whole bunch of different flavors, and like sometimes I go in there when I'm buying, I'm like, what flavor should I get? And I'm like, it doesn't matter, dude. I'm looking at, to be honest, what I'm looking at is caffeine content, and then
Uh-huh.
like what the carbohydrate ratio is. So like some of them come with caffeine, some don't. And so for my marathon, I had it planned out to where I was gonna take some caffeine before with some carbohydrates and a drink mix, but I didn't have elite bottle service. So a lot of these elite marathons, they have these bottles every 5K, every 3 miles for 26 miles that they have that are either designed, they know it's their bottle. They run past these
Uh-huh.
tables, they grab them, you drink your drink mix, and it's not just water in there. It's calories,
Yeah.
electrolytes, carbohydrates, and then sometimes caffeine. So, and they know where they're putting their caffeine. They want this bottle to go here, this bottle to go here, this bottle to go here. And so they're running, they get their, and that's a challenge. And they train for that because like sometimes you're in the marathon, this elite pack. Luckily, my marathon was small. Our front pack, the lead pack was pretty small, but we didn't have bottle service. But they'll be in these big packs in these elite marathons, and the table's off to the side, and you got to find a way to get in position. And you're running it. These guys are running at 5 minute miles. It's like what would feel like sprinting to the average person
Yeah.
locating their bottle. They normally design it a certain way or tape it a certain way so they know it's theirs, grabbing it, and then they're downing it as they're just maintaining this crazy pace. So it's nuts. For me, what I had to do was I had to calculate how many grams of carbohydrates I know that I needed, and I needed to wear tights that could fit all those gels because that's the only way that shit was going down was gels. They had water, of course, and like pickle juice and Gatorade for you, but there's no elite bottle service or anything like that. So I knew that I had to
Okay.
have all my calories and gels on me. I drank as much as I could. I drank the calories as much as I could prior. You know what I mean? And I did that, and then the rest was gels. I had it planned out. I took six of them, 600 calories, similar to what I would do in training. And I knew where my caffeine was going to be. I had them in certain pockets, just like the guys would have their certain mile markers. And I started with
Mm-hmm.
35 grams of caffeine, and then I had a big one at mile 20 that had 100 milligrams of caffeine, and that'll wake you up when you're running. So
I bet. I bet.
yeah, yeah, and then yeah, I mean, I don't know how in the past. I don't know what fueling was like, but it's become an integral part of marathoning and cycling. Anything in these endurance sports, if you're going to be doing something for a long period of time, you have to be fueling during, definitely.
Definitely. It seems a lot more complex than I would have ever thought.
Yeah,
Marathon
I'm not
training
gonna lie. It was
and
something that I was nervous about, and then as the training block progressed, I was like, what am I taking there? What am I gonna do? What's the fueling strategy gonna be? I'd heard so many different things and this and that, but it really
mm-hmm.
just came down to practice. Eventually, I'd run so many miles and done gels and done them at race pace, and then did long runs. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take this here, and then yeah, and then by the end of the block, it was 5 months. So it's just like taking a class. At the end of the class, I know exactly what I'm gonna do on this day.
Well, it seems like this training is so complex and there's so much that goes into it. So what do you feel like as a beginner, someone that just kind of runs like me personally, I would say I'm a beginner runner. I run 3 to 4 miles 1 to 2 times a week. What kind of advice would you give for someone that wants to jump into those longer distances, those half marathons and those full marathons. Because I know that you coach. Oh, you have your 6-year-old daughter running right now.
Yeah.
And so that at that level, she's elementary school, and then you've got when you get into middle school, you're joining the athletics in middle school, and then you start competing high school, and you get to the collegiate level. So at each level, like what kind of advice do you give to grow in the right direction?
Yeah, so it's everybody's got to realize now with this with running, it, it's it's so it's very hard, right? Like when you think about racing a distance, when you talk like you talked about someone that wants to race a half marathon, that's not just running 13.1 miles. That's racing it, running it as fast as you can. For some people, like in their mind, like it seems so you got to take a step back. You got to break everything down. Everything I do and everything I train people to do is broken into quarters. It doesn't matter if it's an easy run, a tempo run, a long run. It has to be broken down into 4 quarters, and you tackle each quarter as it goes, and you have to be present. That's the main thing with running is just
Okay.
being present. Um, but one thing I will say for people getting started is start with time. You know what I mean? Go for a 10-minute run and go for a 20-minute run, and then get to 30-minute runs. And with rest days in between, and then maybe your 10-minute, maybe you got up to 40 minutes, but you do 20 minutes on your easy days. So you do 40 minutes here and
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes here, and it's got to start all easy. I know obviously you have an itch to go fast, right, Jamie? So for
Yeah.
you, it'd be like maybe you reward yourself with that somewhere in the week, like this day I get to go fast. But structure it. Go to the track and do 1 mile
Yeah.
easy, then get on the track and be like, all right, I'm gonna do knock out some 400s or some 200s, and then that be your chance to run fast. But to build your general fitness, that aerobic base, it's got to be easy. You have to find a way to contain yourself, hold back. Whether it be like, yo, I'm gonna download a new audiobook. I'm gonna listen to Unleash Performance Therapy podcast. I'm gonna, some
Yeah.
type of content that keeps you controlled to where you're not going too crazy, and that's how you'll build it. And then eventually, next thing you know, you'll be running 6 miles fairly easy. And then you can start incorporating some of the other things we talked about, like tempos and thresholds, and then long runs. And yeah, but everything I do, like I said, is broken into 4 quarters. And I think the
I
fourth
like
quarter will
that.
go like this. Yeah, the fourth quarter will go like
And
this. The first quarter is like, yo, I'm just getting started. This may feel a little weird. Don't freak out with discomfort. Just kind of like get my mind wrapped around the fact that this is starting, and you allow
mm-hmm.
that whole first quarter, no matter what it is. So if it's a 20-mile run, that's 5 miles. If it's a 4-mile run, there's only 1 mile. Your second mile is about locking in. The whole first quarter, you were figuring out, I'm doing this, and I'm doing it, I'm here, and then boom, second quarter starts, and you just lock into whatever you found in that first quarter. It really doesn't matter what it is. Um, if it's slow, fast, you're just locking for the second quarter. Third quarter is arguably the most important. Staying awake. I tell my athletes this all the time. For some reason, in the third quarter of a run, people's mind drift, race, anything,
Yeah.
workout. The third quarter, the mind just drifts. It becomes the longest quarter. You just lose focus. And like I said earlier, it's about staying present. So that third quarter is about staying awake. Like, am I awake right now? A system check. How's my form? Am I stepping too long? Am I keeping that cadence quick? Am I breathing good? Just staying awake, staying alert, focused. And then the fourth quarter, I always say, is the easiest. You just got to bring it home. And so
Yeah.
that's just about finishing. And anyone who's, once you've gotten to that fourth quarter, if you're an athlete and you have that competitive spirit, I already did
That's
it.
where
I
I
already
go
did it.
fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you still got to find a way to be like on your. Let's say, okay, let's do
Yeah.
this. Let's say it's an easy day for you, Jamie, and you're prescribed to run 20 minutes easy. As soon as you get to minute 15, that doesn't mean go crazy and pick it up and run at your fastest pace for the last 5 minutes and kill yourself. That means I need to bring it home, but I'm still at the prescribed effort. So
Yeah.
like even though it's still showing restraint. You're still applying that 4 quarter rule. But yeah, like I said, you got to find a way to keep some days all the way easy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I
Yep.
love it. So I love that whole entire concept, the 4 quarters being present for each one. I think
Yeah.
that is arguably my favorite thing that you've said tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna use it coming up this next few these next few months. So I'm gonna start
Definitely.
doing
Yeah.
some more running. So I'm definitely gonna use that. I'm gonna try to break it up into those 4 quarters and be present for each one. I
No,
love that,
dude,
man.
I'm gonna tap in with you more too. Like I think you have more potential than you give yourself credit for. I think you're just going too hard, and that's cool. Like that means you have that fire in you. You know, you've talked about it, you've done Spartan races, you want to compete, but sometimes competing at your best means holding back on certain days. We don't prove fitness in practice. We gain fitness. You prove fitness on race day. So it's all about just gaining fitness. And people want to go have this stellar workout like every day, but really it's about having a bunch of average workouts stacked on top of each other for weeks and weeks and months and years. And then next thing you know,
Hmm.
you're not even the same person you were a year ago or 2 years ago.
I love that, man. Good
Yeah.
stuff. It's great stuff. Well, before before we wrap this up, man, I wanted to find out what's next, man. What's next for GXX and what's next for the GX4 Athletic Club? What's coming up? What's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, so like I said, I got that project I've been working on. I am going to be dropping my debut album, so that's going to, of course, have some effects on my running. But
Hmm.
I'm so dialed in with the running, man. Like I can't lie. Coming off that debut marathon and like just the results, I set some big goals. And one of the big goals, and I'm not afraid to say it, like on mine is, when you think of running, when you think the epitome, the highest, you think Olympics. So we have um, Olympic trials every 4 years, right? It's a 4 year thing. There's a 4 year cycle. The trials for the marathon were just February 3rd, on Saturday. It just happened. And,
Okay.
you know, I just want to take these next 4 years to train at the highest level that I possibly can. Put as many resources, I mean, I'm 31 now. The world record of the
Hmm.
marathon is 37. He was 37 when he said it. I think he's 30. The
Ooh.
marathon seems a
Okay.
little bit more live because e- like I've said before, distance running is something that we're meant to do as human beings. Real fast, like I gotta touch on it. So like think about it this way: you have think about the strongest power lifter in the world, the strongest whatever lifter in the world, right? Their power output still isn't anywhere close to that of like a natural silverback untrained gorilla in the wild or a rhino or we're probably not even top five land animals. You know what I mean? As far as power output
Hmm.
goes. Likewise, Usain Bolt, amazing sprinter, still not top five land animals over 100 meters. There are plenty of animals that can go way faster. Same thing for middle distance, but there is no animal that can run as long as the human being. We're the only bipedal mammal that sweats. Some people would even argue that running is what made us human and differentiated us from a Neanderthal. We stood up on 2 feet, started looking around, and we started running. And these proteins are what made our brain bigger, made us smarter. There's a whole bunch of science backing it, so I believe in it. Now, training competitively to running, do I think that's maybe some things about that are unhealthy? Yes. But generally speaking, I believe that we're meant to run, and I believe that's what gives the marathon a little bit more longevity than, say, football or basketball. I'm not going to pick up a basketball and be like, you know what, I'm going to try and make the NBA. But in 4 years, I may try and run the standard to go to the Olympic trials. Does that mean I'm going to go to the Olympics? Probably not. But just to kind of give myself one more, shot at something big, something that could inspire my kids. Something that
Oh yeah.
if I do that, then now GX4 has the coaches the Olympic trials qualifier. Whereas right now I'm not even a college runner. I run an impressive marathon,
Hmm.
and that's something that I can put on my pedigree, and I can, attracted many clients just based on that, and just talking in the running community. But if I can solidify one big, maybe a major marathon win, or like I said, the Olympic trials qualifier, which in the next years I'll be 35 at that time. I still feel like that there's a lot of growth that can happen in that time, and there's a time that I would need to hit. They release it every 4 years.
Hmm.
There's your Olympic trials qualifying time, and then you have your Olympic standard. And then who's to say? And then in 8 years, in the Olympics after that, maybe then at that time I'm only 39, and there were people at the trials this year that were 47, 46 years old. So I'm just gonna keep running, and I just want to see what the ceiling is. Um, I'm gonna keep doing music. Obviously, that's my full-time job. I'm
Yeah.
committed to it. I'm signed to a label. I have commitment, obligation. But the running is for myself, for my family, for my kids, and for everyone that I could possibly inspire. And that's what that's all about. It's kind of me giving back in like a positive light where I maybe feel like I've taken in other areas.
That's awesome, man. And I love that about you. You've always got those high aspirations and goals, and it's right. We want to show our kids something, right? We want to
Yeah.
be
Yeah, you want to
something
show other
for our
people
kids.
like you that you can do it. Because, and to be honest, bro, like here's the thing too. Like I said, this weekend was the U.S. Marathon trials, right? And
Hmm.
and here's the thing with the marathon in the USA. Three guys, right? The top three are supposed to go to the Olympics, but we haven't unlocked all three spots. It's a little confusing. Three Americans have to run the Olympic standard, not the trial standard. Everyone at the trials
Uh-huh.
ran the trial standard, but the Olympic standard is much faster. Only two Americans have run that. So when number three crossed the line on Saturday, he's not for sure going to the Olympics. Someone has to unlock
Yeah.
that spot. And that kind of shows, and here's the thing, we're going to send three athletes in every other event. We're for sure going to have three 100-meter sprinters, three 200-meter sprinters, three 400-meter sprinters, relay teams. We're good at all that stuff. But we have this lacking area in the marathon, and I truly believe that's because we're not sending, the best kids aren't getting the chance in to be introduced into
Hmm.
distance running, right? Distance running is something you think, oh, anyone can go for a run. But no, running is more of an affluent sport. It's for kids who had parents who ran or did triathlons or were runners, or they lived in the suburbs where their house backed up to a bike trail or they had wider sidewalks. Inner city kids are only provided opportunities to play ball sports where running is punishment. Oh, you didn't go back
Hmm.
run, sprint till you throw up. Now they have a negative connotation of running in their head. And not to bring race into it, but that is a major role.
Yeah.
All the top two marathon runners for America this year that are going to the Olympics are white, and they deserve it. They work hella hard. They're fast. And then our third place is African, but not African American. He's African, and now he's a citizen of the U.S. I mean, he came from Kenya, which we all know
Yeah.
Kenya is going to have three marathoners. So yeah, that's what I want to do. Is I want to inspire kids, black and brown, that you can
Hmm.
be a distance runner. You it is cool. There is swag to it. Your body is meant to do it. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Hmm. And as far as the album, are you allowed to say when it's dropping?
I'm not allowed to say in the shop. No, I can tell you the title. I can tell you the title.
The title?
It's
What we got?
yeah. The title is gonna be The Sun.
Okay.
Yeah, The Sun.
Okay.
It's like the sun in the sky.
Uh, looking forward
Yeah.
to it, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Appreciate it. Really appreciate
One last question.
it.
Um, man, I correct me if I'm wrong. You're a
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs fan, aren't you?
Uh-oh.
But not a bad bandwagon. My dad
Okay.
migrated from Africa. His family came to Kansas City from Egypt. That's the first place they migrated to in America. He put me on, and I've been a fan since Priest Holmes, baby. So like, yes, Chiefs fan, yes.
Okay, because I was gonna ask who you got for the Super Bowl, but then I remembered.
Yeah, you already know. I don't even like talking about it now, bro, because we done got so good that like everyone thinks it's a bandwagon thing. I don't even talk about it no more. Like I really should talk about it more, but I don't talk about it because like we're the dynasty now. So now I can't wait till we're trash again before I can start being a fan because no one believes it. You know what I mean? On the day one.
Well, you can be a Dallas fan, and we're always trash, so
Oh, don't get me
it's
wrong.
easy to be a fan.
You know I'm from Dallas. I still got love for the Cowboys. But I'll always be a Chiefs fan. It's just
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, man, I appreciate you taking some time out of your night. I know you're a busy man, but I really enjoyed talking to you. It's been awesome catching up with you. It's been so long, and I look forward to linking up with you more often.
no, this is awesome, man. I I want to tap in with y'all again, man. Maybe at the end of the season after the album drops, I can come back on or something. Hopefully I can stay relevant enough for y'all to have me back on, man. This is
Yeah,
fun.
Definitely.
This is a
yeah,
great
for
time.
sure, for sure.
What y'all are
Where
doing?
can
What y'all are
people
doing?
where can people find out more about you, your music, and your athletic club?
Yeah, so at GXX ICA, that's where you'll find my main Instagram page, and then at GX4 AC, like GX4 Athletic Club, but just AC. That's where you'll find the athletic club. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm way more reachable and approachable on the GX4 page, just because I got a lot going
Mm,
on the GXX
yeah.
page. So anyone that would want to training or anything like that, you hit me up on Gx4 AC, and I'll get back to you ASAP.
Awesome, man. Well, that's going to be it for this episode of the Unleashed Performance Therapy Podcast. If you have anything you want us to talk about on the podcast, shoot us a DM on the Instagram at unleashed.tx. And y'all, be sweet to me. Scroll down to the bottom, give me a 5-star review, share the podcast with your family and friends. And until next time, peace.
Peace.